Hey there, CS320 students. So in this recording, we're going to go through starting up a project and creating a simple Pojo class. So the reference that I'm using is from our resources in Module 3. So if I can grab this and slide it over, there we go. So I am in the module 3 resources, and I'm going to scroll down here, and they have a recording that's going to walk through JUnit. Eventually, we'll get to that point where we're going to write the test. But for now, let's just get a project started up, and we're going to create this school class object. It has a name attribute, has an ID attribute. So we'll go ahead and get those two things taken care of here. So we're going to go ahead and go back to Eclipse. So if it's not up and running, go ahead and get that up and running. And I'm going to create a new project. So I'll go File, New, Java Project. We'll call this School Tutorial. And if I use the default location, it's going to save it to my current workspace. So that's good. Otherwise, I could uncheck this and browse to location I want. I can use the Java execution environment that came with our Eclipse installation, or if we want to, we can change this. So I can change to a different JRE. So I can click Configure JREs. I can add a standard VM. You just need to browse to, remember we put ours on the C drive, program files, and I've got them in my Eclipse Adoptium folder. So I can grab one of these JDKs, whichever I want. So I'm going to go ahead and select the version 21 because I don't think I have a version 21. So select version 21. I already have included that, so I can, I won't be able to go all the way through. But what I want to see is, let me do this. Let me go back, cancel. I already have a 21. Let me do a delete on this right there, delete. So now if I go add, next, directory, again, I want to go just to the top folder right there, select it. And if everything's good, you won't see any kind of error message. And I should see that it is finding my jar. Let me see here. We'll see if this will cooperate. Hang tight. So let's go ahead. We'll go with JDK 21. So I'm going to apply and close. I'm going to select that one to run with. Coming down here, I want to uncheck the module info.java file. We don't need that. And we'll click finish right there. So let's go ahead and expand that. So I should see that I have a JRE library included in here, and then we get a source directory as well. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new package, edu SNHU dots. We'll call this school tutorial, and we'll click finish on that. And so now we're going to go ahead and add our class. We'll call it, let's see here. What do we got for details? It's got a name and an ID. So it's a class. So we'll come in here and go new class. And how about we do this? We're going to call it a, let's see here. So we got a ID and a name for a school. So we'll just call it school. How about that? And I don't need to include any kind of changes here. We're going to go ahead and just leave the defaults and click finish. Okay, so Eclipse has gone ahead and created our class for us right here. So we'll do a little bit of a magical things through Eclipse. We know that it has to have a name, so that's going to be a string. So we'll follow good practices of Java development. So our attributes should be private. And we have an ID that cannot be longer than 10 characters. So again, that's going to have to be an ID as well. So we've got our attributes. We could manually create our constructor, or we can have Eclipse generate it for us. So I'm going to go source, generate constructor using the fields. Right there, they're checked, generate. So we have our constructor created. There's no real need to call super here because there is no parent class. So we're going to go ahead and delete that out. If we wanted some setters, so we could go source, generate getters and setters. So we could select all that we want setters for. Let's see here. The ID is probably not going to be editable, right? So IDs are never editable. So we wouldn't want to create a setter for the ID, but maybe we want to be able to change the name of our object. And so we'll just select the name attribute right there, and we select getters. Sorry, I said select setters is what I wanted, and that should be public, and we'll click generate. And I didn't want the ID attribute, so we're going to delete that out. Eventually, when we get into the implementation of testing things, you'll see in my recommendation when we actually do the testing that we're going to put all the logic that we would need to validate things that are required, like 10 characters in length and not being null. We would do that here in the setter. And again, that will be a story for a different day. For now, we're just going to leave that. We also want some getters. We want to be able to get the name, get the ID, and to do that, instead of generating the setters, generate the getters. What we're going to do is use a tool called Lombok. So we're going to come over here. We're going to search download Lombok first right there, and we're going to download this jar. So click the download link. You'll see that a jar is going to download. So downloads, right there is the Lombok jar. And what I want to do is I'm going to add that to this project. And we're going to copy that into our project right there. Next thing we're going to do is add this Lombok jar to our Java build path. So right click the project, build path, and we want add external archives. And I want to navigate to my folder that we created for this project. So CS320 school tutorial, and right there is the Lombok jar. We're going to click that open. And what I want to see is on the referenced libraries here. So if you expand that, I want to see the Lombok jar added to it right there. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Lombok, it's a very powerful tool that lets us do things like this. We can use annotations. So I'm going to do import getter here. So I'm going to import the getter, and this will provide getters for all of our private attributes in this class. So I don't need to explicitly write those getters. What happens behind the scenes is that Lombok gets injected at compile time with these getters. Okay, so just to make sure that we have all the things that we want. So we've got a constructor, we've got a setter, and we should have getters for these name and ID attributes. Let's click the outline. So if that's not visible, go Window, Show View. Right there's outline. And here are all the things that our class has. It has, oh, look, there's those two getters. Remember, we didn't write them ourselves, but through injection, those are available. The name and ID, these are private. We know that they're private because they don't have the green filled in circle there. Constructor, and we have a setter. Okay, great. So next thing we're going to do here is right click, new class. We'll call this our driver. And let's make sure that we can create a school. So we're going to go, let's do a public static void main string array args. Now let's come in here and let's see if we can create a school. We'll call it school A equals new school. And let's see here, the order that we have to send things, we have to give it a name and then the ID. So we'll call it, oh, what's a good name for a school? We'll call it Maplewood Elementary, and the ID is going to be 123. Cool, we got a school made, so let's see what we can do with it. System.out.println school name, and we do school a.get name. We'll do their ID. Great. Let's go ahead and run this. Run as a Java application. And fantastic. We see we get the name that we gave it. We get the ID that we gave it. Great. Everything's looking good there. Let's say that we want to change the name of it. So school a.set name. And all I'm going to do is take what it was before. And let's add the word school to the end of it. And then we'll do a print here as well. So the first time through, it's going to be just Maplewood Elementary. Next time through, we'll have updated that name, and it's going to be Maplewood Elementary School. So let's go ahead and run that. And fantastic, we are seeing that the name gets changed there. So coming back here, other things that we could include if I want an equals method. So Lombok does provide an equals and hash code method. And what this will do, so if we, oh, I don't have the Java doc installed, but the equals and hash code, it's going to use the name and ID attributes to make sure that they are the exact same. So maybe in this case, we probably don't want the equals and hash code to use both the name and ID, because really a school can't have a duplicate ID. So we could implement our own equals method and check only on the ID. So let's go ahead and just do that. So source, right click, generate hash code and equals. And I don't want the name, I only want the ID. And perfect, generate. So it's going to check if the object is reference the same. If it's null, it's going to spit out false, can't have a null. It's going to check to make sure that they're the same class. And then it's going to look at the IDs of the objects. So if I come over here, let's go ahead and create another school. School B equals new school something else, but we'll give it the same ID. So keep in mind, the equals method is the one that's typed out, not the double equals. So we'll just print, this will give us a true or a false. So it's going to check to see if school A and school B are the same. Remember, it's going to base that on the ID. So when we run this, we get true because those IDs are the exact same. If we make it a different ID, so now we run it again, we'll see that we get false because their IDs aren't the same. Now, again, keep in mind, you have to use the equals method to check objects for equality. If we use the double equals, so if I use double equals, what this is going to do is it's going to check the reference that gets created. So when we declare a variable, this created a location in memory with these values in it. This creates a separate location in memory. And so this is going to say that this is false. So watch this, run it, and it's going to be false because these are not the same memory. How can I make it true? Well, if I copy this reference, this is going to spit out a true. They're the exact same memory location. So run as Java application. Oh, look, there's that true because I've copied the reference. Anytime you use the new keyword, you're always going to get a new reference. And you should always use the new keyword when you are instantiating your objects. Okay, so again, we want to use the equals method to accomplish that fact. All right, that's enough for now. So we've been able to create our class. We've got our attributes. We've created a constructor. We provide a setter just for the name, and we have some helper methods with the equals and hash code. Next time, we'll create a collection of these school objects and refresh your memory about iterating through a collection.